every single time you click a link, post a photo, or stream a show, you're moving through this incredibly complex, invisible web of rules. And I'm not just talking about those long terms of service that we all, let's be honest, scroll right past. I'm talking about the real legal and ethical frameworks that are literally shaping our digital lives. So let's peel back those layers and actually take a look at the hidden architecture of our online world. Just think about it for a second. Have you ever shared your Netflix password? Of course you have. Retweeted a hilarious meme? Sent a quick personal email from your work computer? These things feel so small, so normal, right? But the answers to whether they're okay are surprisingly complicated, and they all live right at this crossroads of cyber law and ethics. So let's start right there, with what happens when those digital rules get broken. Our first stop on this journey is going to be the digital underworld, the realm of cybercrime. So what is cybercrime really? Well, it's a super broad term, but the definition is actually pretty straightforward. It's any kind of criminal activity where a computer or a network is either the target of the crime, the tool used for the crime, or even just the place where the crime happens. The US Department of Justice actually has a really helpful way of thinking about this. They break it down into 3 simple roles a computer can play in a crime. First, it can be the target itself, like when a hacker attacks a server. Second, it can be a storage device, basically a digital safe for things like stolen data or pirated movies. And third, it can be a communications tool, used to pull off old-school crimes like fraud, just in a new online space. So, what are companies and organizations actually dealing with day to day? It's probably not the crazy, elaborate heists you see in the movies. When you look at the data, the most common things recorded are viruses and malicious code, followed closely by unauthorized access, which is just people getting into systems where they don't belong. And yeah, good old-fashioned illegal spam. Okay, but not every issue online is about straight-up crime. What about creativity? In a world of copy and paste where anything can be duplicated with a single click, what does it even mean to own a digital idea? This question pulls us right into the really complex world of intellectual property. So, intellectual property, or IP, is all about the stuff you can't physically touch. It's not the paper book, it's the story written inside it. It's not the plastic CD, but the music recorded on it. Basically, it's any asset that comes from human creativity and ideas that doesn't have a physical form. And this IP is generally protected by 3 main pillars. First, you've got copyright, which protects the specific expression of an idea, like the exact words in a book or the melody of a song. Then there's a patent, which protects an actual invention or a process, like the famous RSA encryption algorithm. And finally, there's a trademark, which protects a brand's identity, think a name, a logo, or a symbol. And this stuff is everywhere we look online. The software on your phone, the databases that run your favorite apps, even the video you're watching right this second. These are all forms of digital IP. Even the super complex algorithms that power things behind the scenes are considered intellectual property that needs protecting. Now, this is where the law gets really tricky, because it's always trying to balance protecting creators with allowing for innovation. A perfect example is the Digital Millennium Copyright Act, the DMCA. On one hand, it makes it totally illegal to break digital locks on copyrighted stuff. But on the other hand, it carves out these really crucial exceptions for things like fair use, security research, and making different technologies work together. It's this constant, delicate balancing act. Okay, so that brings us to what is maybe the most personal realm of all, the ongoing battle for your privacy. We've talked about protecting computer systems, and we've talked about protecting ideas, but what about protecting you and your personal data? The European Union's data protection rules have been a massive influence here, and they're built on some really clear common sense principles. Basically, you have the right to be told what data is being collected about you. You have the right to consent to how it's used. You should be able to see it and fix it if it's wrong. And you have the right to know it's being kept secure, even if it gets passed along to someone else. But here's the thing. Privacy isn't just one concept. It's more like a spectrum. At one end, you have pure anonymity. This is when you can use a service without revealing who you are at all. A step over from that is pseudonymity. Think of this like wearing a mask at a party. You're using a handle or a username, so your real identity is hidden, but the system itself can still connect your actions to you, which allows for accountability. Then there's a really important one called unlinkability. This is what's supposed to stop others from connecting all your different actions online to build up a detailed profile of who you are. And at the absolute far end of that privacy spectrum, you get unobservability. This is the highest level, where no one can even tell that you're using a particular service in the first place. So you see, privacy isn't just a simple on or off switch. It's this whole range of different kinds of protection. All right, for our last section, let's flip the script. We've been talking about the laws that govern us as users. Now let's talk about the ethical compass that should be guiding the creators, the engineers, the designers, the people who are actually building this digital world for all of us. And when you look at the professional codes of conduct from big organizations like the ACM and IEEE, you start to see these really powerful common themes emerge over and over again. Be honest, respect people's privacy, try to avoid causing harm, take responsibility for your work, and above all else, always put public safety and well-being first. These are really the bedrock principles for creating tech ethically. Some more modern guidelines put this even more bluntly. There's a quote that says, "The people who design, build, or deploy technology are morally responsible for it, and for the effects of that technology that they can reasonably see coming." The message there is crystal clear. You can't just build something and then wash your hands of the consequences. And this really gets at a common excuse you hear all the time, the idea that in a big team, nobody is really responsible. Well, this way of thinking says no, that's not how it works. Responsibility is not a zero-sum game. Just because more people are involved doesn't reduce your personal, individual moral duty. Which leaves us with one final really big question. As technology gets more and more complex, and as it accelerates faster than we can keep up with, who should be responsible for writing the rules of our digital future? Is it the coders? Is it the giant corporations? Is it the governments? Or is it all of us as the people who use and live in this world every single day? That's a question I think we all need to start figuring out.